me again. You can't fool me again. You hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. Can't buy scallion, we can't buy time. You can't fool me again. Can't fool me again. You can't fool me again. Hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. You touch up line and a resort to crime. You can't fool me again.
What people do eat no money, what they at you, eat no at you. Covid money, miss we eat the your little rat you. Use the youth, them money, waste my must have statue. Say me like a cashew, but bigger than a figure you. Take the spit of money, girl, and say that it's not you. One day the man above end up, him a got to too much. It in the kitchen, some a fly by like a patu. When singers and DJs and social media's coming at you.
It burn me
300% raise.
It burn me
Garbage pile of the day.
It burn me
Give the teacher them raise.
It burn me
I see corruption face.
It burn me
Mash down the people them house.
It burn me
Every day appear arms out.
It burn me
Appear money them a thief.
It burn me
And them a sell out the beach.
Can't fool me again. You can't fool me again. You hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. Can't buy scallion, we can't buy time. You can't fool me again. Can't fool me again. You can't fool me again. You hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. You touch up line and a resort to crime. You can't fool me again.
Come me say big up all the charities and all of the giver. Some a go like say them powerful, me no mega bigger. The 100 the promises, none of them not deliver. Cut up the youth, they rap and they down in a river. Member bold money and they lie them tell. Corruption smell and they pocket them smell. When police don't a market like Satan out of hell, go mash up people start like thief when them sell.
It burn me
On they treat the market man.
It burn me
On them a treat the cat man.
It burn me
On they treat the peanut man.
It burn me
On them a treat the jerk man.
It burn me
On them a treat the son man.
It burn me
How them a treat policeman.
It burn me
How them a treat soldier man.
It burn me
How them a treat everyone.
Can't fool me again. You can't fool me again. You hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. Can't buy scallion, we can't buy time. You can't fool me again. Can't fool me again.
Stibby dim day. We in Global TV says certain kind of friend we no keep. And some informer friend we love like. We in Global, bona fake friend and bona tape. We in Global, we not promote them, we not support them. Look at them on the cheek, come here represent for. We in Global TV, check it.
The contractor said, I got the job, but I sub it out to the subby. But in a criminal justice system, where the burden of proof on the prosecutor is to prove beyond reasonable doubt that the accused has committed the crime, is a mere statement from a convicted, confessed criminal enough to secure a conviction beyond reasonable doubt? Good evening and welcome to Global Television. Welcome to another of your night's program. This is the People's Point of View. And good evening on TikTok. Good evening to those on X, those on the Twitch, those on Facebook, on YouTube. Good evening and welcome to another of our evening's program. Tonight will be quite a short program. We hope, though, that it will be an interesting probe tonight. Because once again, we will have Paula Llewellyn under the scope. And in my introduction, what my reference is to the trial of Beachy Stout and his co-defendant, Oscar Barnes. Is the trial against Oscar Barnes about to collapse in court? And if it is, who has failed to do their job? Is it a DPP that has overstayed her welcome? Or is it crooked police officers who may have botched the investigation? Welcome this evening. We will have some questions to ask the investigator and the Crown Prosecution Service in Jamaica. But before I go forward, I want to say a massive thank you to my moderators, Debbie Jervis, Sunshine, Beat and Teach, my cousin Jamie. I want to also say good evening to Professor Gorgeous Lady and to Jamaican Foodie. Sorry, who else is here? But a pleasant good evening to you all and welcome to this another of your program. In the chat area, not the chat area, the description area, I've placed two articles, one from the Gleaner and one from the Observer. It is in regards to the Beachy Stout and his co-defendant trial, which is going on at the moment. There seemed to be a throwdown in court between the prosecutor and the main investigating officer, I believe, a sergeant. But please, my eyes won't allow me to do the reading in those two articles for you tonight. But please do read those two articles, especially the one in the Gleaner, where there's some quotes of the back and forth between the defense lawyer and the main investigator. But what it seemed here overall is that the main, only, and substantial evidence that Mr. Barnes was charged on was a confession from Minot, who confessed that Beachy Stout contracted the killing of his wife to him. He is serving a 19-year jail sentence for his confession and admission to the partaking of the killing of Beachy Stout's second wife. Let me have a drink of my coffee, please. And you will always have to get used to me and my coffee on screen night or day. I trust that you're all hearing me well in the comment, because nobody is saying anything about the audio. So I trust that you're all hearing me well in the comment. So Minor, the confessed contracted killer, in the case against Oscar Barnes, is the Crown's witness. And all the Crown is relying on from Minot, or Minot, whatever it is. Thank you, Debbie. Thank you. Thank you, Beat and Teach. All they seem to have is that Minot gave a statement claiming that the killing of Beachy Stout's second wife was contracted to him by Everton Beachy Stout MacDonald. And then he subcontracted the killing of Beachy Stout's wife to Oscar Barnes. That seemed to be the only and main statement that the prosecutor has taken the case to court on. If this is so, one, there is a botched investigation here by the police officers. I implore you, please, to read the two articles, the two newspaper article in the description area, which will give you a broader understanding of what I'm talking about, particularly the breakdown of the questioning between the Barnes defense and the investigating sergeant. It's really a bit of interesting read, but please do read for yourself. I cannot stare on these fine writing right now. But if that is the only evidence that the prosecution has taken this trial to court on, this could easily collapse based on the line of questioning coming from the defense attorney at the moment. As it is the burden of proof in a criminal proceedings is on the prosecution to prove beyond reasonable doubt that the crime they have accused A or B of, they have enough evidence to prove to juries or members of your peers, which are their juries, or a judge, that the evidence, all the evidence that they're presenting to the court points to and corroborate that beyond reasonable doubt, this person has committed this criminal offense. It is coming out in the trial against McDonald that there is no physical evidence, nothing on his phone, not McDonald, sorry, Oscar Barnes, in the trial against Oscar Barnes. What is coming out from the trial is that there is no physical evidence linking him to the murder except for the confession from Minot or Minot. No physical evidence. However, there are some instances and cases where you can take a case to court on circumstantial evidence. You may not have material evidence such as eyewitness, forensics, and others, cell site information from telephone, or whatever other evidence or exhibit you could gather to associate the person with the offense. However, at times, cases can go to court successfully on what is called circumstantial evidence. Not just one piece of circumstantial evidence, but a multiple of different factors circumstantially that would link the person to the crime, even though there is no physical evidence. In the case against Oscar Barnes here, there seemed to be no physical evidence. The main and strongest and only that the prosecution is relying on is the statement of a convicted criminal in this case. If this is the case, this could easily well have the case thrown out of court, because the defense could argue that continue with the trial will not, if convicted, be a safe conviction, because there isn't the evidence beyond reasonable doubt to show that Mr. Barnes committed the offense. The prosecutor, in a state case such as this, and a high-profile case, the investigating authority or the police officers, the JCF, does the investigation. But the guiding force behind the investigation ought to be the prosecutors. The prosecutor are the ones who are going to take the case to court. The requirement is, one, there must be enough and substantial evidence to secure a conviction. The next thing that they will look at, is it in public interest to proceed with this trial? If it's just a letter, a statement from a confessed contracted killer, is that enough for an experienced director of public prosecution to take forward a murder charge in court, even if the person has done the crime? But in our legal system and the legal standard, where it must be proved beyond reasonable doubt that that person have committed the offense, has Paula Llewellyn once again failed in doing her job? Because the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution is the guiding force behind an investigation and would be the one to say, this isn't enough evidence to secure a conviction in court. You need to go and investigate from this angle. We need physical evidence, some forensic evidence, some eyewitness evidence, other than the statement of a convicted criminal. Those are the questions that Paula Llewellyn or her office would be and should be asking when police present, when the JCF investigators present in front of you what may be botched or shoddy investigation. It is the duty of the Crown prosecution to say, this alone is not enough to secure a conviction. This alone is not enough for us to proceed through the courts. But time and time after, we see these charges being made, these people go to court, but because of the way the cases are investigated, whether they've been investigated shoddy or they've been botched, then we see people continue to get off cases because they weren't charged for the right thing, the investigation weren't done properly, the investigators did not secure the right evidence or the right amount of evidence to make sure they secure a conviction in court. But could it be that these botched or shoddy investigation or been paid for or bought out? And a question I want to ask, like everybody else who is under the illicit enrichment probe, is it full time that the top tier of the JCF and the rank and file members of the JCF all go under the probe of the Integrity Commission? Because we know that there is a level of corruption in our justice system, in our police service, and that continue to erode our justice system and our law enforcement system. I am going to have a bit of coffee, and I'm going to continue further discussion and Miss Llewellyn, because boy, things not go right for you this January, Paula. We heard a few days ago she come out and said, Delroy Chuck, This is me rephrasing. Delroy Chuck not doing job because Delroy Chuck have the money for Ministry of Justice. And Delroy not even a penny because not even reporter we don't have in the court them to capture the notes of what's going on in court in exact words as they've been said. Paula Llewellyn, I think it's this morning we dealt with that the Mark Barnett and Annette Barnett, the wife and husband who was given a permit to build a complex in is it Charlie Mount St. Andrew, and has, as it was said, gone over the limit of the permit granted to them in the construction of their complex. A Gleaner article came out, I think, yesterday where Paula Llewellyn is saying she sent over a ruling to, and she mentioned the various departments. Now something is coming out of the Gleaner today, saying that in the ruling, Paula Llewellyn, the ruling from Paula Llewellyn, with regards to what's his name again? Barnett, Mark Barnett and his wife. Mark Barnett is the president of the Water Commission Board. And the ruling is that time has passed to bring charges against Mr. Barnett. We saw the same thing with the Andrew Holness enrichment situation, or not enrichment, the contract awarding during his tenure at the Ministry of Education. And we saw where the Integrity Commission said charges should be brought, and then the next day we are hearing that time passed, it's not in public interest, and all of that. We're hearing a similar tone again. How will, if the Integrity Commission release its report and refer people currently in the administration at the moment or in the public departments, refer them to prosecution? Is it the same thing we'll be hearing from Paula? Time has passed. If the DPP is going to continuously say on these investigations against corruption and illicit enrichment, time has passed, where are we going as a country in fighting corruption if those who are charged to investigate corruption and then have suggested that some people under their probe ought to be charged, and that can be overruled by a corrupt DPP? How do we fix a system? How do we fix a system where the gatekeepers are hell-bent and making sure the status quo that protects nepotism, corruption, criminality, financial embezzlement from the public purse? How do we make sure such a system is toppled, is being investigated, is being called out, those in position of power are held accountable? To date, Roel Reed cannot be processed through the justice system after embezzling, misappropriated millions from public funds. Uno never even bother to charge Grace McLean for the 148 million embezzled from the Nutri Fund. And a whole host of other financial embezzlement, the Petrodrama and all the others. A whole host of financial embezzlement. And every time any form of reference to prosecution, or if Paula is given a duty and the opportunity to deal with corruption at the very highest level in our society, she always ruled to protect those who continue to involve in the corrupt practices that is holding back our country and is creating more crime in our country. So none of us are safe with Paula because all her friends are allowed to continue the corruption, embezzlement of public funds, and so on and so forth. Is it a case where, given how we see the Silvera investigation is going on, no suspect named, an investigation where the public cannot get any update on, a husband that has been given enough time to clean up and destroy evidence that would be needed to take forth a murder trial, a murder case to court. Could it be a case where even if Julian Silvera at some point is arrested and charged for the death of Melissa Silvera, with a good defense attorney, the case could be easily and quickly thrown out of court because of lack of evidence, because of the legal standard that the prosecutor must prove beyond reasonable doubt, cannot use hearsay, must use hardcore evidence or a string of circumstantial evidence. Good evening, Miss Days. Would you like to speak on the program?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, some news for you. Melissa Silvera, put me on quick and fast.
Good evening and welcome to Global TV. You are live to social media.
Good night, everybody. Good night, Wayne. Good night, Globalists.
Good night, Miss Days. How are you?
Keeping the conversation alive.
I'm doing
fine, thank you. Yes, and I just want you to know that today I got some information that Mrs. Silvera will be laid to rest this weekend. But when I want us to see and look out to see if the people ever come lie to the nation and tell the nation say she died in her sleep from aneurysm. I want to know if those people are going to be in attendance. And I also want to see if the opposition leader who know that is murder and not just passing away in our sleep, if they're going to go there to support the husband.
And if they're going to go to the funeral to tell lies. This is something that we need to keep our eyes on them and make sure there is somebody on the ground that can feed back information to us, because you know the media may protect them with the lies or them are going to tell on funeral day.
Yes, man. Me try to encourage the person who give me the information to the say. If they happen to go to the funeral, person say them not know the location. Because I was thinking because of this disgrace now, that they would have probably silently cremated her. You know what? 2 months now she dead, you know.
I think she would have been cremated already had the pathologist not outed them.
Yes, absolutely.
I think that's where the cremation would have quickly happened. If the pathologist went along with the game, then there would be a quick and fast cremation after that.
Yes, I think so too. But them plans get mashed up. So right now, we want to see what will come there in a big dark glasses can looking at people's face.
Oh yeah.
And them something.
And we need to continue to ask because I see Kamala Forbes block me from everywhere. Me can't even see nothing on our page anymore. Somebody, albeit sunny days after the crime was committed, she placed herself on the scene of the crime. And we must not stop asking Fitzbailey, have you spoken to Kamala Forbes? Have you ascertained from her who else of the 30 people or house full of people who was on the scene the morning? It's very important.
Yes, for them to know who was on the scene and what were their intentions. How she ended up on the scene and the husband was not there initially, who let her in the house.
Yeah.
What if a question? And if it was any place else in the world,
those questions would have been asked long time.
From she come put herself on the crime scene. That's why I think when she said that we thought it was aneurysm because we saw a little bit of blood, I think that she was a part of the cover-up. I do believe so.
Until she declares something or answers something worthwhile in public based on what she has put out in public, then it's fair for one to ask the question, are you or is she involved in the cover-up?
Boy, so she talk, to tell you the truth, me no doubt say she involved in the cover-up because I watch, and it sounds like there were several people involved in this cover-up. Because we thought, the word we, very important.
Yes.
We thought
yes,
that it was aneurysm because she had the blood at her nose. So it looked like a group of people were there examining the body, or they were examining the blood. Why were they there doing that? It's who them? Them a pathologists? Them a police?
There was a careful scenario crafted to support this word peacefully.
Yes, Wayne. Yes.
There was a scenario crafted because they didn't remember. They didn't just tell us she died in her sleep. The word peacefully. Note that word carefully.
You see that word, you know, we have to tell how other word they come after me as somebody who is a medical professional and somebody who is very observant and keen on details. When they say she died peacefully in her sleep, you know what came to my mind immediately? It sounded like she had been ailing. They knew that she had some condition that she finally succumbed to.
Yes.
Or they were preparing themselves that, you know, this would finally and eventually cause her death.
Yes.
So she died peacefully. And that's why I started calling a few people I knew at the time to ask them if she had been ailing. Nobody knew of her ailing. I said, when me hear aneurysm, I said, do you know she had any kind of high blood pressure, pre-existing condition, any injuries lately, anything like that? The people have said, no, it's a healthy woman. And that's why I went on social media that day, Wayne, and said that they need to investigate the husband and a particular attorney. I'm not going to call her name right here, but she said under my post, stop it. They say it's aneurysm. She died in her sleep. Like she was fooled too. So I said, don't come picking on me. I'm saying you know, there's no logical explanation as to why this young woman died. So, and in any civilized place in the world, if a spouse is present in the life of a person, man or woman, girlfriend, boyfriend, fiance, they are the first suspect.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Not a pronouncement of guilt. It's just saying they need to be looked at.
Exactly. Exactly.
So
The word
I guess
peacefully, we must keep focus on that word. That word was attached as a distraction from day one. The word peacefully, not just she died in her sleep. Peacefully was attached, and that's where the cover up started in public when they attached the word peacefully.
they
But
know what they might do.
oh yes, oh yes, oh yes. But
And even if it was an aneurysm, Wayne, aneurysm, you know.
let the postmortem results say the aneurysm, just like how the postmortem results say bullet.
You know, that's why I said the doctor them in the PMP for investigate and question too.
And who were those SUVs? Who were in those who was in those SUVs that was going and coming from the property in the early hours on the night of the 10th of November into the early hours of the morning of the 11th of November? I was told that there was some the argument is that there were a fleet of SUVs keep going back and forth from the Silvera residence. If that is true, whose SUV are those and who are the occupants and how much occupant were in those fleet of SUV? Are they politicians? Or they high society friend of Mr. Silvera? Or they high ranking police officers? Who are they if that is true?
They know what's going on from the husband to the girl will come out and talk about a little bit of blood and nose. Let me tell you something. Silvera is being shielded by the political apparatus of Jamaica.
And the security services.
Think it's just a time. Eh?
And the security services.
Yes, and I don't think it's just the PNP that is shielding him. When I say the PNP, I'm talking about Mark Golding and those people leading, because there are people in the PNP right now, we can tell you. There are people in the PNP who are saying that Mark Golding and the leadership should have said on the record that they are dismissing him for now until the investigation is complete, which means that they are publicly saying that he will not serve the party in any capacity while this thing is happening, so that they can separate him from the party. There are people in there talking it, you know.
No, but even if people are not talking it, it is a public PR knowledge of political parties. Where there is such a serious blunder going on around someone close to the party, especially the party leader, then one expect at least a statement of disassociation while the matter is under probe.
Yes, absolutely correct. And he can't find it in his heart to do it.
No.
So that's why now you see, even with the shuffling of the shadow cabinet now. I call and tell you things them, you know. The shuffling of the cabinet now, Wayne. A little birdie over there tell me say the reason for this shuffle at this time is to use it as a distraction to take the focus off this murder with Sylvia at the party.
Not with me. Not with me. They can't distract me. They can distract those who are not focused on how they operate. But they won't be able to distract me, because if you notice, this new cabinet come out calling for tantamount of things. It's like they've been given porridge immediately after selection.
Lord of mercy. Then look here now. Talk truth now. Do they really need 26 people for a shadow something at this time?
26 out of 14. Back with the maths. What a bangarang. No, sir.
No, 26 people. And then no. Well, I don't know. But this whole thing here, right now it's the way and you know me see it now. Right now I just have to hold this me I talk to you know. I don't have time for no waste people. Right now, me I look for make sure that Andrew is doing everything what I'm supposed to do right. Because you see when they will focus on the locals them, the people them who in the driver's seat of the country, them just can do anything what they want.
Sonny, this is a dire situation though, you know.
It is, absolutely.
It is quite a dire situation. If members of the People National Party are going to say, we might as well beg Andrew to do better, because those over there are sick, lame, lazy, tired, and useless, and is possibly protecting alleged murderer. So let's beg the crook to do better. What a situation.
The situation is bad way and bad. That's why I say no.
Yeah. No, sir.
That's why I say no. You see right now, it better. Because today I was telling somebody that the next election coming is not for the government to lose, you know, it's for the opposition to win, you know, win.
And because that's not how incumbency works.
With 49 seats. 49 seats, you know.
The country is in a problem. How we rustled our way out of this wet paper bag that we're in. And the wet paper bag, I mean, is the People's National Party, who after 8 years of a crooked, failing government, the People's National Party is nowhere near having the credibility or electability to shift such a shoddy government out of office.
I see this as a grave act of evil, right? And when I say this, what I'm talking about is we know what the government gives to the people because they've been there long enough where we know what to expect. We know what they are about. But when you have the opposition that cannot rescue the situation, because Bunting and Golden decide that they want to control the PNP. No, man. Me feel like they're more wicked. Me feel they're more wicked. It's like if your mother beat you, kill your way, and your father did there watch and not do nothing.
Well,
I saw the situation look right now, you know. Somebody that they beat you, kill you, and somebody where they can rescue you, just they look for you, so now help you. No, sir.
Let's see if Mark Golden rise to the challenge. Because if the local government election goes ahead, you know the phrase in Jamaica where we say, man not dead, no call him Duppy. Let's not call Golden Duppy until he proves to us that he's not a ghost. The old saying, if a man don't dead, don't call him Duppy. So let's keep hopeful that Golden can save the country from Andrew Holness, even if he doesn't take the reins forward after saving the country from Andrew Holness. Let us hope that the Duppy will rise, if that's the case.
Lord gee, we only have the patience at trouble. But nothing wrong with patience. They'll go on all it same way.
All right, then.
Thank you for having me. Have a good night, Globalist. Speak up on yourself.
All right. Thank you for calling.
Have a good night.
Good. Thank you. Yes, there you have it. And back to Paula. You said that the time has passed for Mark Barnett and his wife to be charged. So, We are going to wait and see when them time come, what will be your argument. But on the Silvera issue, back to Fitzbailey, Kamala Forbes placed herself on the scene of the crime, albeit Mary Messenger 411 TV. Good evening. It's my first time seeing you over here. Good evening and welcome. Placed herself on the scene of the crime, albeit after the crime was committed. To date, we are not aware if Fitzbailey have spoken to her, or for that matter, ascertained from her who else were the about 30 people she referred to that was at the house. Nor have we got an update from Fitzbailey as to where the investigation stands. Who are we investigating? What line of inquiries we're following? And who are the suspects, if there is any? Should Marlene Malahou Fort, rather than be concerned about legislative loopholes that allows the Integrity Commission to ask them for further information of the assets that they are declaring to the Integrity Commission, but is not able to substantiate those assets and the source of those assets. Should Marlene Malahou Fort, as Minister of Legal and Constitutional Affairs, should she not be more concerned about the way cases are investigated and the direction given by the Crown Prosecution Service in Jamaica in regards to how the investigation ought to be done in order to obtain or secure a conviction in court? She's rather more concerned about the way in which the Integrity Commission is probing politicians and public figures. My argument is that she ought to be more concerned about the way the Director of Public Prosecution and our investigators do their job, because we see oftentimes a lot of these cases comes before the court, but then is thrown out for lack of evidence, or the process used in securing the evidence was a botched or shoddy one. This is where we end our probe this evening. But before we end our probe, we want to look at the permit, the global, the Diaspora Intervention Task Force, who has written a letter to the Jamaican Embassy, or the RGMarks, informing them of the action they will be taking by demonstrating in front of the Jamaican consulate in Miami, Florida. A permit was sought by Rupert Francis and the team. The permit has now been granted. The protest will now go ahead. The date for the protest is on Friday, the 19th of January, 2024. The date of the protest. The team leading the process is Dr. Francis and others. They are members of the Diaspora Intervention Task Force. The protest will take place on the 19th of January, 2024. It will be at Sidewalk 44 West, Flogler Street. I hope I'm giving that information correct. The time for the process is 8 a.m. Eastern Time to 1 p.m. Eastern Time. So those of you in North America, Eastern Time in North America, the protest is on the 19th of January 2024. The address, the location for the protest is Sidewalk at 44 West, Flogler Street. The time for the protest is 8 a.m. Eastern Time to 1 p.m. Eastern Time for those of you who are on the North American side of the pond. We implore and advise all of you in the Jamaican diaspora who can show your support, make sure you give all the necessary support that you can in order to send a signal home to our government that it is just not enough. It is just not enough what they are doing. So those of you on stream at the moment, what you can do is take a screenshot of the notice on the screen at the moment, and then you can also share it on your social media page. So the word gets out there, the message goes out there that Jamaicans in the diaspora are taking a stand against the corruption, crime, the lack on promises, and telling Jamaicans in the diaspora, you have no legal standing. You have no legal standing to take a case against public officials on their corrupt and shoddy practices. This is where we end this evening. Thank you very much. This was the People's Point of View. To those on TikTok, thank you very much for your support. On Twitch, on the X, on Facebook, and on YouTube, thank you very much for being here with us this evening. Thanks for your continuous support. I want to say thanks to my moderators for always making sure everything's run smooth in the chat. Thanks to those who continue to share this live. Give us a thumbs up. We appreciate and thank you all very much. This is where we bring it down. Thank you, and I hope to see you all back here tomorrow. Once again, thank you all, and we are out. The court is out. It's late. Let me pin what Debbie is saying here. The Courtage Carriage is located at 40 Northwest 3rd Street. Please screenshot what Debbie says on the screen. For those of you in the North American side of things who is interested and will be supporting, screenshot that message on screen from Debbie. I cannot always see, but please screenshot. Hold on, there's an upper comment. Please screenshot what Debbie has written on the the page that I've pinned on the screen, please. For those of you who may need the information, going to the protest, please pin what Debbie has on stream at the moment. Raw, if you're here, I didn't see this in time, but I'll certainly do tomorrow. I certainly will. Yes. The parking garage is located 2 blocks from north of the consulate block. And here Debbie is giving information of parking where one can arrange for their parking, those of you who are attending, yes. So screenshot what Debbie has on, what that I've pinned on the screen from Debbie. Those information will help you if you're driving to the protest or you're going as a group. Whatever information Debbie is, I'm sure Debbie will also be there, and she is familiar with the surroundings. So the information Debbie is putting up that I'm pinning on screen can be helpful to those who are or will be, those who are or will be traveling to the protest to give their support. Let me see here. Okay. Thank you all very much. This is where we bring it to a close tonight. I hope I will see you all back here tomorrow for our program, our daytime program. And don't forget that we have 2 daytime programming. At a Glance is broadcast 12 noon UK time and 1 p.m. 7 a.m. rather, Eastern time. And then in the afternoon, or later program come on stream, Drive Time London, Lunchtime Global, where we look at what is happening, just about where it is happening. And that program goes out at 6 p.m. UK time, 1 a.m. Eastern time. And as always, our People's Point of View program, which goes out 11 p.m. UK time, 6 p.m. Eastern time. Thank you very much. Continue to like, share, and subscribe, and continue to conversate in the after show comment. Thank you very much for being here this evening, and we will see you in our next broadcast. Thank you very much, and good night.